I'm going to wait to see if it's streaming. Just gonna continue to do the website today, but I'm gonna study more. And I figure out a way to disconnect. I figured out the problem that I was having last time, which is that it was disconnecting before the message got here. So, and I figured out a way to solve this, and the way is pretty much to put another event here, so that it only triggers the disconnection once the event is emitted, and it only emits the event once it has the data ready. So, and this way it works to disconnect this part. But I still haven't figured out how to show this data on the front end. And I think I'm getting an error there, but I don't know what's happening. So this is what I'm gonna try to figure out now. And it's obviously because I don't know Svelte, so I'm gonna have to study Svelte, and there's a bunch of things to know. Like, it's very similar to Next.js so far from the stuff that I've seen, but obviously, especially because I'm gonna be using WebSockets as well, and I don't know very well the differences between WebSockets and the normal protocol, like HTTP. The only thing that I know is that WebSockets are used more for real-time data, and HTTP is more for requests. So I'm probably gonna have to study more about that to understand as well. But I think that the problem that I'm having here is because of this method here, and yeah. So what I'm gonna do now is just watch some videos and then study and try to see if I can get the data there. Oh, and also I'm gonna copy the function that I did here because I just tested this, but I didn't use on the other file, the model file. And I should probably put this stuff into a function. Like all the code on this file here. Yeah, so I'm gonna run this and then I'm gonna show what I'm talking about. Just call the script there, and then it sends the data. So this is the script with the mock data, and then I'm setting the data, and then it prints there. But the issue here is that I'm console logging here, but I think I'm getting an error there. And ChatGPT is off. Something happened, I don't know what, but... So I think I'm just gonna study today. Because I have to understand more how Svelte works. But if I do this again, I think it's gonna show something there, an error message. And there's a 24-hour video on Svelte by FreeCodeCamp, 23 hours. I don't think I'm gonna watch everything, but maybe I will. I think I'm gonna watch the other videos that I have here, and then I'm gonna probably read into the documentation. I was looking into some of the stuff, but I still don't understand really well because it looks like onMount is kind of like use effect on React, but I don't know for sure. So it shows up there, but here it doesn't show anything. And it's not even showing any message here. But I think from now, as far as I can think, I think it's because it only receives data once like the page loads. It doesn't listen for the data, the changes. So because when I start the website, there is no data coming, then it doesn't show anything. So And I think it only shows data that exists when the website is created, or I don't understand how it works. And I know for sure that it is sending the data because of the other, like the data shows up here, and then I'm emitting these true events. So it is supposed to emit this event, and then I'm listening to this event as well. Here might be the class here that I have, or might be the way that I'm putting there, the WS. But here I'm using WS as well, so, and if it's working on this one, should be working on the other one. So I think I'm gonna try to change that, and I'm gonna try to change the mount thing and the socket.io thing, and then just search the documentation as well.
So if I go here and I select from users, we will see that I have 1 user. If I make another one, 2, and type that, you will see that we got 2 users now, and the last one was 2 user. Let's truncate the users table, and we got no users anymore. So that's what I'm talking about. That's real time. You probably already figured out that between the server and the client, we are using WebSockets. A very straightforward and easy setup, because on the client, you just create this bare bone WebSocket thing. And yeah, I don't really need Svelte for this, but I use Svelte anyway because I want to update the UI. So this is one way of doing it on the client. And if we look at the Rust code, move this up here, we can see that we have, this is when the main starts, and then we create the bus. The bus will be used to send messages over to all the connected clients. And we create a connection pool here, and then we add the WebSocket handler here, where we add the bus to be provided to it. And then I spin up a listener for the event that we are listening to, the channel, that will send a message on the bus every time we get a message from the database. And that's it. Now we can look at these two. This is just the WebSocket. I write to it, I don't read from it, so I'm just forwarding messages I get from the bus. That's how we do it in Rust. Let's back in the corner. If we turn our focus to Postgres instead, we can see that we have, or I will show you that I have 2 components to make this work. And they are, first you need to have a trigger function to open this up. This is not what I write, this is what Postgres understood me as. But we have this function here that returns the trigger. And what we do is we do a notify, and the notify takes a channel ID, and it takes the payload, and the payload is a string. So we are concatenating our own JSON object here. You could use JSON functions and just transform it to text, but I opted for this. And this function will not do anything on its own, so you will have to create a trigger on the table. And it's the notify users. If I go in here and I open this one up, you can see that it's basically nothing here. We just call the function that we created in the other script. But we and on the server for every connection that you use, a connection for that listener, for they should scale you up to another
server. So we'll call this 1. So that'll be step 1. And then the server, WebSocket server, will broadcast whatever that message is to all the clients. And that will be step 2. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's the WebSocket server that we're going to use. And I'll show you the code for it. It's pretty simple. So it's just this right here. So it makes a connection. And then once it's connected, it will...
Yeah, I think that I have to do this stuff here first. Because the way that I did here was just from ChatGPT. And I noticed this a lot now that I'm using ChatGPT more for these kinds of things. That it usually gives a good response, but it is like there are things that are wrong with the response. So it looks like it is right, but it's not 100% right. So, but I think like it is good to use because it gives you an idea of what, like this kind of thing here I got from ChatGPT, the idea to do this connection like this, but the way that you responded to me was incorrect, but then I got the idea because of it. So, but I think what I have to do here is just change and create a server there. There's the other video that I'm gonna see there. The guy does the same thing, I think. That I have to import the WebSockets library. This is WS. I'm not sure if that's how you do it. And then I have to install this, I think, as well. Because here they are doing Node. I think the other example, well, looks like it's Svelte actually that he's using. So maybe I can do this require on this script tag there.
Basically,
I think I'm just gonna copy like this first, and then I'll probably do the way that the other guy did.
use this on message, so whenever
Oh, that's the thing. He's creating a server here, not the client. So it's gonna be different. I think I'll copy from the other guy's video.
it receives a message, it will call this function called update client. that'll loop through all the clients and send a message if the socket is able to receive a message. So let's turn on our web server. And then I'm going to use a service called nrock.
I think that is difficult here is that I think that like I can't see what is incorrect here. It seems like it is correct the way that it was done here. So this is why like it's very hard to know what to do. I think I'm gonna read the documentation from this thing here as well. Because it looks like it is correct, but then I'm not getting anything. So I don't know what to do. It looks like the data is going to the server, so it means that the function is running, which should mean that the event is being emitted, which should mean that I'm getting the data here. So which should console log the data, but I'm not getting any data. Oh, and before this was not a async function. So I tried that, but it doesn't work still. So maybe the error that I was getting before was because I didn't have this async thing here. Maybe I can put that. Let's see if it's gonna show the error that I was getting. Yeah, that's the error I was getting before. Yeah, I indicated an asynchronous response by returning true, but the message channel closed before a response was received. So I assumed that it was the same error I was getting on the other one, where it closes this makes the disconnection of the client before the data gets there, because it wasn't asynchronous. The other one I tried to run asynchronously as well, but it didn't work. But then with the event it worked, but now that I put the async here, it doesn't show anything, but the data doesn't get there. Maybe it's this mistake here. But it seems like this mistake doesn't have anything to do with the data.
nrock will allow me to basically make this web server publicly available for a period of time. You'll have to set up your own nrock account. I'll have a link to do that in the video. So I'm going to do HTTP 3000, and the reason I'm doing 3000 is that our WebSocket server is using port 3000. So now it's ready. I have the URL right here. So now I'm going to go to my Smart WebSocket Client extension. You have to type in ws:// and then the URL. And it looks like I've been playing around with this, so let's do that right there. And then got them both connected. So just like the drawing that I drew, if I send something like hello, both these two sockets, clients connected to the socket should receive hello, and they do. So I'll show you here. If I send in blue, you can see they both receive blue. All right, with that being said, let's get started on building our app. So I'm going to dismiss this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to have an h1 tag that says hello chat. We'll have an input, the type of text. I'm going to bind the value to message. We don't have message created yet, so let's create it. And let's see, and do that. So that when we click the button,
I guess I can try to change the method here. Let's see if it changes anything. It still doesn't show anything. There's no message. And I think this error is because of something to do with the audio, and like it says there, with the Chrome not playing in the thing. So it doesn't have anything to do with the data. And this is what's weird. So maybe it's something with the own mount here from Svelte. So I think I have to watch the videos to understand better how it works, or read the documentation.
And close this. So the first thing to make this work in development is go to the Svelte config. And as I show this in this code, you have to change this from adapter auto to node, and then we can import server from socket.io, and then we're going to create our plugin. So we can say export const WebSocket server, which is an object. Let's give it the name WebSocket server, and then let's use configure server. It gives us a server, and we can say const.io, new server. We're going to use the server, and we're going to get the HTTP server from it. And if you're not sure where this is from Vite, and you can learn that from the Vite documentation. Okay, so we can use our WebSockets. We can say on connection, so when it connects, say socket, and then we can say socket emit event from server, because we're going to catch it on the client. We can say hello world, let me just copy over this emoji. Oops. Yeah, and that's almost it. So we just need to use the plugin. So here you can see it. We just close the terminal. Yeah, so we can save it. You should get auto completion plugins, and then we can say WebSocket server. Yeah, and then we can save it, but don't remember you have to rerun the server. But first, let me just include the client code. And also, if this gets out of hand, you can just abstract this into a separate file, and that's it. So let me just go to source routes. Here's our index file. I just want to show you how it would look like on client. Yeah, so we can go here. We can say script, line script, and then we can import socket.io on the client. We can say IO from socket.io client. Const socket.io, let's invoke it, and then we're going to say event from server. Again, this isn't a WebSockets tutorial, but I just want to give you some helpful information. And then we can log this out. So if you're unsure with WebSockets, here's where we emitted this event from, and our client should catch this. So one thing we have to do is restart our development server. So let me go here, and we have our experiment. So let me just start this up in npm dev, and we should see the message here when we restart this. And here it is, hello world. And that's awesome. So now you have WebSockets working in development, but the problem is how do you get it working in production, which is the second step. So if I go here in the post, also before I go here, let me just show you something awesome. So if you have some reactive value and you need to emit it when a value changes, you can just use a reactive block in SvelteKit, which is really awesome. So you can send the message to the server this way. So just letting you know, and let's go to the production. So we're going to need Express. Let me see if I already installed it. Yeah, have Express, which is awesome. Yes, I think I can close this. So let me explain why we need the node adapter. So let me just stop the development server. Let me run npm run build. If you're using npm, the commands are the same. So let me just show you the side here so you can see what's going on. I'm going to collapse this. npm run build, and this should work. So here you can see it created a build folder, and here is the index and a handler JS. So we can create our own custom Express server, and we can pass it the handler as an Express middleware. So SvelteKit is going to take care of everything rest, like the routing, etc. So we don't really have to run two servers, right? So that's what I explained here in the post. So let's see how this works in practice. So at the root of the project, just because it's easier to include it in the script in a moment, I've created a folder server. So let's create server index.js. Let me just collapse everything. So again, we're in the root server index.js, but you can place it whatever you want or whatever build step is, right? Yes, let me just close the terminal, and let's just make our own little cute custom server. So we can say import Express from Express. And don't worry if you don't understand backend. I'm not a backend expert. I just made this work, and I'm showing it to you now, right? So create server from HTTP. This is our server that we previously passed from Vite, right? And then we're basically doing the same thing. So we're saying server from socket.io, and here is the handler. So we need to say from. Then we need to go to the build. We need to get the handler, and then we define port 3000. Then we say app express. Then we create the server. Create server. Pass the app, and again, same as before. We say IO new server, and then we can say IO on connection, and then again we have socket, and we say socket emit event from server. You can say hello world. Let me copy our emoji. Actually have an emoji picker, but if I would use it here to mess with the recording, so that's why I always copy the emoji pickers. So here I even commented for you how this works, and I linked to the GitHub repository where this code is concerned. So yeah, so we can use the middleware app use, and middleware in Express is basically it intercepts the response and request object and changes it. So basically, SvelteKit is here like Jesus, it takes the wheel, and we don't have to worry about anything else. And then we say server listen port, and then we save this. And for the last step, go to your package.json. We're going to add a script. So if you scroll down here, you can see your scripts. We can include a start script. We say node. Yes, we're just invoking it with node, right? This is going to start the Svelte development server and the WebSocket. Yeah, so we can save this. So let me just recap. So we created a custom server by creating a custom Express server that we're going to create a script here and start it. So this starts instead of the one in the build, because usually Svelte would run this. So here it describes the same thing, and it shows you here how it works. And so let me just close this, and I'm going to close the sidebar. And for the moment, don't forget we have to run our server. So you don't run npm run dev, but now we have to execute a script, which if you remember, just start. And we can just do that by saying start, and you don't have to say run. So everything should work. We're now in production. And if I refresh this, it works. And also if you need to pass environment variables, I have a post on using environment variables in SvelteKit. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and catch you later.
Yeah, I think I need to use this thing here. But I'm not 100% sure. $sign with the thing.
should console log send message. So I'm going to pull up our
And it's still nothing. And now I'm getting something at least. Which executes. It's the same problem that I was getting before. The given node has no parent. It probably doesn't have anything to do with what I'm doing though. Maybe it's because of this thing here.
console. Click that. It is working. Okay, so that's good. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on our store, and this will be responsible for broadcasting the WebSocket message. So I'm just going to call this store.js, and we'll just keep it really simple. And we're going to use a writable store. And we need to import that from /store. And this writable store will store messages. And it will default to nothing. So it'll only store the current message, but it will default to no message because by default there's no message. Next step is we'll do an export default, and the only thing from the store we want to export is the subscribe function because we don't want any component setting the value of the store. We could use a readable store, but it's kind of a pain because you can only update it in one place, and if the socket goes away, it kind of gets messy. So I think this is a better approach, but that's just my opinion. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create a WebSocket client. So we'll do that by typing a new WebSocket and the URL, and let's get that from our terminal. So it's this right here. Now, because Svelte REPLs use HTTPS, we have to use WSS, which stands for WebSocket Secure, and then the URL. And then let's go to the documentation page, which is right here. So you can see right now we have our WebSocket. The constructor takes in the URL. You've got connecting and open. So these are represented in the ready state function. So we know that if it's 0 or 1, we can send messages to it. There's two built-in methods: a close method, which will close the connection, and a send message, which will send data. And then we have a bunch of events, and we can use add event listener to access those events. And we have a handy example right here that we can copy. So let's copy that, and this will listen to the open event and listen to the
Interesting.
So for the open event, we're just going to do a console.log. And we're going to say it's open. Okay. And for the onMessage event, what we'll do is we will set the store's value to the message. So if I undo this, you can see the actual message is stored in event.data. So all we have to do is say message store.
So I think I got this error before here. I was saying that it's the wrong method. So it looks like it is working, the connection here. And I don't remember like when I got this error and why did I get it. I think the reason why is because I'm using WSSS. So, but I don't understand why because it should work with WSS. If I change here, it's gonna stop complaining, I think. But I think what I have to do here is what the guy is talking about, where I have to create another file called store. Because of the way that the Svelte works, it works with stores to update the state, I think. So I probably have to put this on a different thing. Invalid HTTP method. Hmm. Oh, Sakurai not found. And still, so maybe this is coming from somewhere else. That's weird. Because I'm not sending anything anymore. And it is on local host, so yeah, I don't know what's going on there. And I thought I installed the Sakurai, but maybe I didn't. And this is the stuff that I have to watch the videos and study, because I need to understand more how it works with the stores and how should I put the functions. And it's very weird that it was giving me that message there. I don't think anyone sending things because it's on localhost, but maybe it's possible, I don't know. Because I wasn't calling anything or doing anything on the other files to receive this message here. Yeah, I have no idea what is going on. It started out of nowhere as well. I mean, maybe it's something to do with this, but you can search for the name here.
And we also want to send a message. So I'm going to create a function called send message. And what that'll take in is a message. It'll just be a string. And we only want to send it if the socket's open. So we'll say socket.readyState is less than or equal to 1. There's probably a better way of doing that, but we'll just use that for now. And then we can just use socket.send, and we can send the message. The next step is to export that function as well. So we'll export that as send message. And we need to import that into our store. And we'll also import the onMount function because we only want the store to become activated once it has mounted. And onMount is basically takes in a callback, and that callback will be called once the DOM is completely loaded. So we'll do onMount from Svelte, and we'll also import our store from /store.js. Oops, and I misspelled Svelte, so that's why we're getting that error. So let's use our onMount function, onMount. And then the store has a thing that we're exporting called subscribe, and the subscribe will be called anytime the message gets updated. So we'll say store.subscribe, and we'll call this current message. And then we'll put these up here so it's a little bit more clear. But we'll say messages equals which will copy all the messages into a new array. And then we'll say current message. So we'll put the message at the bottom. And we're seeing it's open, so that's good. So now that we have this working, we need to, anytime we send a message, anytime the button gets clicked, we need to send a message. But we'll do a little check to make sure the message is not blank. If the message.length is greater than 0, we'll allow it to send the message. So we'll say store.send. Make sure that's what it is. Oops, it's send message. Good thing I checked. And we'll put in the message. Okay. So now what we should be able to do is send the message, but we're not going to be able to see these messages, so let's loop through them. So what I'm going to do is loop through them. So I'll use an each tag. So each message is as message. And we'll close the each, and we'll just do a P, and we'll just output message. Okay, so it looks like that's good. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to send a message called hello, and it should just appear here. Oops. Looks like we got an error. So current message is not defined. I wonder, let me see. So that worked. I'm going to save this. I think that might be like a weird thing. So I'm going to save this as WebSocket YouTube example. Let's save it. So let's see if this works now. I'm going to refresh the page, and we're going to say hello world. And let's see. Okay, so that's looking good. And then hello, and that's looking good. So this would be a good challenge. See if you can create a special component to display the messages, where maybe one message is right here and the other message is right there. So go ahead and try that as a challenge, and I'll do that really quick in the next section.
I also forgot to do this. Because I wasn't sure if that was the problem there. I'm not sure why I'm getting this error. No. This didn't change anything. Yeah, it's still working. But now it's showing this message. Also not sure if I should install something here. Should do that. I think I'm gonna follow the tutorial here from the beginning and then just copy what he does. Then try to see if it works, change the things if it doesn't work.
Okay, let's do it. So we're just gonna do this quick challenge. I just could not resist, so I'm sorry. So we'll do an export let message, and we'll do an export let direction. And the direction, we'll see what that will do in a second. So we're just gonna have inline style, and we're gonna say float, and then the direction, and we'll default the direction to left. And then we'll output the message, and then we will import our message. Okay, so now we should be able to do this. And we want, because the prop name is the same name as the variable, we should be able to do that. And let's see, we won't get the direction, but if we change this to right, hopefully we'll see it go to the right, just to make sure the CSS works. Okay, that's looking good. So now we need to make it go on odd or even. So I'm going to look up in the examples, see if we can find it, because I forgot how to do it, each. And it looks like you can have this I variable, and the I is the actual index. So that's a good way of doing it. So let's see I, and I'm going to take out these extra p tags. I'm going to say direction equals, if I dot %2 equals 0, we'll say left, otherwise, oops, forgot the 0 part, otherwise equal right. Okay, so let's see, hello. And then let's see, hello world. Okay, so I don't think we want to use float right, so that's wrong. Let's use text align.
It could be because of this thing here, but this is
hello.
using Rust,
And then hello
so
world, and then hello you. Okay,
you
so
shouldn't
that's our socket server.
interfere
Let's test
with
it out. First we'll save it.
Python. Because it might be something with the
And
threads.
I'm going to open this up in a new REPL right here. And we'll put this on 2 screens so we can see it in action. We'll refresh. So in theory, I should be able to do hello. And you can see they both say hello. And then world. They both say hello world. So that's cool. You might want to have a name here so you can make it more conversational. I'll let you do that. The only thing I want to do is add some notes, which I'll do on my own. But I want to clear out the message every time a message is sent. So I'm going to say message equals quotes. And I'll save that. And let's refresh. So now when I send a message, hello, you can see that. And then it disappears. So now if I say blue, you can see that. So that's how you use sockets in Svelte. Hope you found this video entertaining and helpful. I'll post a link to all the REPLs and some helpful comments as well. That'll be like our node server. Then I'm going to change colors. We'll use that. We're going to have a bunch of clients. And the way it will work is a message will be sent from one of the clients to the WebSocket server. So we'll call this 1. So that'll be step 1. And then the server, WebSocket server, will broadcast whatever that message is to all the clients. And that will be step 2. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's the WebSocket server that we're going to use. And I'll show you the code for it. It's pretty simple. So it's just this right here. So it makes a connection. And then once it's connected, it will basically use this on message. So whenever it receives a message, it will call this function called update client. That'll loop through all the clients and send a message if the socket is able to receive a message. So let's turn on our web server. And then I'm going to use a service called nrock. And nrock will allow me to basically make this web server publicly available for a period of time. You'll have to set up your own nrock account. I'll have a link to do that in the video. So I'm going to do HTTP 3000. And the reason I'm doing 3000 is that our WebSocket server is using port 3000. So now it's ready. I have the URL right here. So now I'm going to go to my Smart WebSocket Client extension. You have to type in ws:// and then the URL. And it looks like I've been playing around with this, so let's do that right there. And then got them both connected. So just like the drawing that I drew, if I send something like hello, both these two sockets, clients connected to the socket should receive hello, and they do. So I'll show you here. If I send in blue, you can see they both receive blue. All right, with that being said, let's get started on building our app. So I'm going to dismiss this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to have an h1 tag that says hello chat. We'll have input, the type of text. We're going to bind the value to message. We don't have message created yet, so let's create it.
I'm sure what's the point of this thing here if it's not being used here.
Loop through, we'll set that equal to nothing. And
Oh, it's here.
button. The button will say send message. And then we need a function for sending the message. And do that. And let's just make sure this is working. So that when we click the button, it should console log send message. So I'm going to pull up our console, click that, it is working. Okay, so that's good. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on our store, and this will be responsible for broadcasting the WebSocket message. So I'm just going to call this store.js, and we'll just keep it really simple. And we're going to use a writable store. And we need to import that from /store. And this writable store will store messages. And it will default to nothing. So it'll only store the current message, but it will default to no message, because by default there's no message. Next step is we'll do an export default, and the only thing from the store we want to export is the subscribe function, because we don't want any component setting the value of the store. We could use a readable store, but it's kind of a pain because you can only update it in one place, and if the socket goes away, it kind of gets messy. So I think this is a better approach. That's just my opinion. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create a WebSocket client. So we'll do that by typing a new WebSocket and the URL, and let's get that from our terminal. So it's this right here. Now because Svelte REPLs use HTTPS, we have to use WSS, which stands for WebSocket Secure, and then the URL. And then let's go to the documentation page, which is right here. So you can see right now we have our WebSocket. The constructor takes in the URL. You've got connecting and open. So these are represented in the ready state function. So we know that if it's 0 or 1, we can send messages to it. There's two built-in methods, a close method, which will close the connection, and a send message, which will send data. And then we have a bunch of events, and we can use add event listener to access those events. And we have a handy example right here that we can copy. So let's copy that. And this will listen to the open event and listen to the message event. So for the open event, we're just going to do a console.log. And we're going to say it's open. Okay, And for the onMessage event, what we'll do is we will set the store's value to the message. So if I undo this, you can see the actual message is stored in event.data. So all we have to do is say message store.set event.data. And we also want to send a message. So I'm going to create a function called send message. And what that'll take in is a message, which will just be a string. And we only want to send it if the socket's open. So we'll say socket.readyState is less than or equal to 1. There's probably a better way of doing that, but we'll just use that for now. And then we can just use socket.send, and we can send the message. The next step is to export that function as well. So we'll export that as send message, and we need to import that into our store. And we'll also import the onMount function because we only want the store to become activated once it has mounted. And onMount is basically takes in a callback, and that callback will be called once the DOM is completely loaded. So we'll do onMount from Svelte, and we'll also import our store from /store.js. Oops, and I misspelled Svelte, so that's why we're getting that here. So let's use our onMount function, onMount. And then the store has a thing that we're exporting called subscribe, and the subscribe will be called anytime the message gets updated. So we'll say store.subscribe, and we'll call this current message. And then we'll put these up here so it's a little bit more clear. But we'll say messages equals which will copy all the messages into a new array. And then we'll say current message. So we'll put the message at the bottom. And we're seeing it's open, so that's good. So now that we have this working, we need to, anytime we send a message, anytime the button gets clicked, we need to send a message. But we'll do a little check to make sure the message is not blank. If the message.length is greater than 0, we'll allow it to send the message. So we'll say store.send. Make sure that's what it is. Oops, it's send message. Good thing I checked. And we'll put in the message. Okay. So now what we should be able to do is send the message, but we're not going to be able to see these messages, so let's loop through them. So what I'm going to do is loop through them. So I'll use an each tag. So each message is as message. And we'll close the each, and we'll just do a P, and we'll just output message. Okay. So it looks like that's good. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to send a message called hello, and it should just appear here. Oops. Looks like we got an error. So current message is not defined. Let me see. So that works. I'm going to save this. I think that might be like a weird thing. So I'm going to save this as WebSocket YouTube example. Let's save it. So let's see if this works now. I'm going to refresh the page, and we're going to say hello world. And let's see. Okay, so that's looking good. And then hello, and that's looking good. So this would be a good challenge. See if you can create a special component to display the messages, where maybe one message is right here and the other message is right there. So go ahead and try that as a challenge, and I'll do that really quick in the next section. Okay, let's do it. So we're just going to do this quick challenge. I just cannot resist, so I'm sorry. So we'll do an export let message, and we'll do an export let direction. And the direction, we'll see what that will do in a second. So we're just going to have inline style, and we're going to say float, and then the direction, and we'll default the direction to left. And then we'll output the message, and then we will import our message. Okay, so now we should be able to do this. And we want, because the prop name is the same name as the variable, we should be able to do that.
This is the most difficult and annoying parts of doing this, is that like there's always multiple different ways to do the same thing, so it gets kind of confusing. So you have to understand better how it works, but I think I kind of get it now. I get it more now than I did in the beginning of the stream. That I should do the store, and then the store is probably going to be the thing that updates the state. And then you create the WebSocket here, but the thing that I'm not sure is if I should use this WebSocket here, or if I should use the one from the IO thing. I think I should probably use the socket IO thing, because I'm using that on the Flask side. And then I should import that thing here, and then make the connection here with the IO. And then use this file on the other one to update. And the thing here is that I'm not really sure if these event listeners are for... I should probably use the... I think if I use the IO, it allows me to put custom events probably. So I think it's better to do that. And then I do it like I was doing before, but do it on this file. And then I just use this writable. So I have to study how store works more, so I understand Svelte. And then I have to use this to update there, I think. But it's very weird that I receiving this error here out of nowhere, since I didn't do anything. Like, it's strange because it makes me think that someone is trying to make calls to this server, but like it doesn't make sense to me because it's only for localhost, but maybe it's something that I don't understand here, how it works. This is why I was trying to search there. Because I didn't do anything, and then out of nowhere it starts giving me that message, so. But I think it only opens the connection to localhost, so it might be something from Python, or the other explanation would be like some threads that some program is using running Python somewhere else, and then is messing up with this, but I'm not sure. And I got this error before, but I was doing something else that I don't remember really. And then I think I changed something, but I didn't know why it was happening, but then it solved the thing. But I think that the error message is because of the wrong HTTP method. It's getting the wrong HTTP method, so it's kind of weird. And it's a get method. Yeah, invalid HTTP method. Very strange. So I think I need to study more this thing here. And the videos I watched, they explain it, but not that much about how it works. And it's a common pattern, I think, for same problem I had with the other libraries that I studied. It's like, because usually the people make videos to show or to do something with because I think that gets more views, but they don't explain how the library works and the design of the library and things like that. It's also harder to know, I think. So it's one of the reasons why I think that what I'm trying to build now is going to be very good. It's going to allow you to understand the design of any library, and it's going to make things a lot easier, I think, to understand. And I'm also thinking about going back and watching some videos from Ben Eater as well, because I need to understand more the connection about connection from HTTP. And I think he has some good videos about that. Like, what is the difference fundamentally on the way that is the messages are being passed? Yeah, I need to understand this more as well. But I think he has a video that explains really well what happens. It's one of the older videos, I think. Yeah, TCP. But I'm not really sure if it's gonna be, because TCP is a protocol of communication, but I don't remember really well if he talks about the differences between WebSocket and HTTP. So I know that HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, I think. It stands for that. And the way that I remember, I think I saw from a video from Nezo Academy or something like that, that it says that like HTTP is more like you're going back and forth, and WebSocket is more like you ping once, and then once you ping, you start listening for events. So it's more of a continual thing. It's not so much that and that's the reason why it's better for updating live, because you're not making a lot of requests. Once you do the request, you can listen for events. So that's the difference, that the way that I picture in my mind, but I don't understand really well how the nuances work of what is actually happening. So I have to study more, but it's kind of hard to find like information that really explains the nuances behind it. Yeah, but what I'm thinking about now is that I have to study this stuff, understand a little bit more how it works, and also to understand, like, I think this is the configurations. Obviously, I'm gonna change this eventually if I deploy this to Vercel, but I'm gonna leave it like this for now. And then the core is oranges as well. I don't remember really well how it works, but so I have to review that as well. Yeah, but what I think I have to do now is to see how I can make the socket.io thing. What is the correct way on this star here? I'm probably gonna import maybe I will go back to the way that it was before here so I can copy. Yeah, I think I need to do it this way, so, but it's on the other file. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like if I'm gonna, it makes more sense if I'm gonna use Socket.io, I think, on Flask to use it here as well, but I'm not really sure if it makes any, if it has any difference. And then here I would do the same thing that I did there. I just put on and then the name of the event. And delete the other thing. And here would be async. I have to put the arrow. And console.log events. Because I think this is like, it's difficult because I'm not getting any error, but I think that what makes sense to me is that if you use the mount, because of the way that the framework works, it's kind of like a use effect where it only updates once the page loads, but then, but use effect, yeah, it re-renders the page, I think, every time that something changes inside of the use effect. So I think it's kind of like a similar pattern, which means that it should probably work the way that I was doing before. Like put this on inside of the on mount thing. But then I'm not getting any console log, so that's the thing that... And it's difficult because it seems like it is correct, so I don't know what is going on. So I think that it might take some time to debug, but the only explanation, or the thing that I have to do, I think, is to just understand more how it works. Yeah, so it looks like it's doing the client here the same way that it was doing there before. You use on mounts, and then... So what else can be wrong? It might be something... It might be the way that I'm making here. I think it is... On mount, it's pretty much the same as use effect, I think. And then you just put the events there inside. Then obviously once I have the data, once I figure this out, then I can... Then I'm gonna have to search for... Yeah, I think I'm gonna make it as simple as possible in the the CSS and the other stuff. And I don't wanna spend a lot of time. Like I just wanna make the graph work first. And the other thing that I'm thinking about is that I think it's better to get to the point where I have the graph and then I focus more on making the graph better for studying the recursion thing. And then I should go back to the poker software thing because I want to finish that. So I want to be careful to not deviate too much here. So I'm going to clarify the recursion more. And I think I already understand how it works more now. So I just have to think about a way to make it so I can keep track of global variables and then think about how I'm going to put the boundaries for updating the amount. I have to change the function as well, the function that converts the percentage into the amount. And then I have to rethink about how to initialize the variables because the way that I'm doing, I'm reinitializing them once it gets to the end of the tree to the base case, but then that's not what I want. and I have to think about a way to update them so I can create all the lines on the recursion. So this is gonna be, and I think I have to focus on that once I'm able to make the simple graph, and then I'll come back. Because after I finish the algorithm for creating the lines, I still gonna have to do a bunch of things to make it work, and I wanna make the simulations work. But I think I'm gonna focus on those two things now, and I wanna make this happen where I have the website, because I think it's gonna be very useful once I have everything. And like if I'm able to make it with the WebSocket, I think it's gonna be very good. But I forgot that this kind of stuff can be annoying to figure out.
And let's see, we won't get the direction, but if we change this to right, hopefully we'll see go to the right. Just make sure the CSS works. Okay, that's looking good. So now we need to...
So I have to search for.
In this video, I'll be
It's gonna be easier once I can use ChatGPT as well. But I have to search more for Svelte store, the explanation. So there's the store. I think it's store, and then the context API. And the context, I think, is pretty much the same pattern as Next.js. Is because it allows you to use the context to pass variables from other levels, let's say. So I think that the paradigm is very similar on all of these frameworks.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Tyler here, and in today's video, we're going to be covering Svelte stores and how we can pass data between components.
It looks like I installed the things, but it's not showing up here. Which is weird as well. Oh no, it's here. Dependencies. So it is installed now. So I think I'm gonna test again. It's probably not gonna work, but just to see if it shows any messages. I think I had it installed before though. And now it's doing this weird thing. I'm gonna have to search for this as well. The other thing is the threads thing as well, that eventually I think I'm gonna have to figure out. Maybe I'm gonna have to figure out right now, so that I'm able to make it work. But for this script here, so that it tracks multiple threads, or to select which thread's gonna track, because the cset trace only works for one thread, I think. So it might fuck up the. But I think it's working for sending the data for now. Oh, so now at least it's showing this message here. Protocol error. So maybe I have to specify the thing there. Let me run this again and see if at least I'm still receiving the message from the other one. But I think, yeah, I am receiving the message. It's just that this weird thing. So this is an object in memory, and it's saying invalid HTTP method. So there's something triggering the one of the endpoints, I think, of the thing. Maybe it's this callback here from the pi linked thing that calls the, because I imagine that if you're running the server, there's probably some function on the under the hood. But it's weird that it messed it up like out of nowhere. Like if I didn't change anything, how it's possible? So and I want to understand more how it works on the under the hood on the Socket.io from this thing here. Flask Socket.io. Let me think. Oh, it's gonna add the thing here. So I think here you can add some information, like it was on the tutorial there. To specify with what kind of thing you're gonna do. Because I think the way that it works is every time you send a message, there's all this information on the message so that it understands like how to communicate with each other. And it's very complex. I remember when I was studying this, because you have to send frames to know like when the message is going to start and when it's going to end. And the very interesting thing as well is the encryption. Like this is very trippy. How is this possible? But obviously, like most of the communication is encrypted so that people can't steal the messages. So there's stuff like that as well that is cryptographically. You do some mathematics to hide the meaning of the message, and then it's pretty fucking crazy how it works. Like you're sending signals through wires, and then like somehow you can reconstruct everything. It's really insane.
So in the last, make it go on odd or even. So I'm going to look up. We're also going to need a line that I drew in the video called update client that'll loop through all the clients and send a message 1000 right there. What we're going to do is we're just going to have let's see. We'll also need to that when we click the button, it should come because we don't want any component setting the value of the store. We could use a readable store, but it's kind of a so we'll do that by this, which stands for WebSocket secure. If it's 0 or 1, we can send and for the on data. And we also want to send a message. So I'm going to create a function. So we'll get all the messages into a new. It should just appear here. Okay, so that's looking good. It's looking good. So,
I think I saw on the another tutorial. I have to search for the name, then but I think that this is the information that I was trying to find. But I think it shouldn't like stop from making. it work. As here is slightly different as well, because it's sending as a, maybe that's the problem. I think extra headers shouldn't be. But maybe this transports is gonna make it work. Oh, but this should be outside. Should be here. Oh, but I need to put the... Also, I think, yeah, the way that it works is you put the path here. I'm gonna open, I'm gonna run this again and see what happens. If I try to send a message there. At least I'm getting some message now. It's saying that the connection failed. It's probably because of the method. Because this is probably using HTTP. But it is weird because... the other thing, this is the thing that I'm not sure, like, intuitively for me, because of the way that the thing that I explained before, it makes more sense to use WebSockets, because it seems like this is going to be something that I update live. Like, the vision that I have is that, like, as I press things on the keyboard, it updates the graph, so that you can step through the functions and see the visualization of the execution, how it creates the graph. So it makes more sense that, like, for me, it would be a WebSocket, but it might, like, not matter, and it might be better to just do a normal HTTP. But I want to understand, like, even if it works with HTTP, because here is WebSocket, so, like, I don't understand really well the differences, so I have to study that more, I think. And it should be working with WS, because here it is sending the message, so that's the other thing. So it's probably a mistake in the way that I'm using the thing on the Svelte part. And I also have to figure out now what is this mistake that I'm getting here with this Gavins, whatever. Yeah, now it's not showing anything. So maybe it was correct. It's just another problem. Weird. So here there's only one S. And it works. Maybe that's the problem. No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't have anything to do with that. The other mistake. Oh, now it's not showing that anymore. So maybe this is weird because I think it has to do with the way that it was written here. Maybe it was that mistake. Because I remember, like, every time that I update something on this file here, it also updates the server. And I don't know how it does that. Like, it's kind of weird. But I think that it has something to do with the way that the VS Code works. So, like, and this is the stuff that, like, I want to understand, but it's very hard to find information about it. It's like how these things are connected with the operational system. And this is a problem that I had with the requests library as well, that I wanted to understand. Is like, how does the operational system integrates with the IDE, which integrates with the internet through a proxy and things like that. But maybe that was the problem there. The reason why I started getting the errors there. Yeah, because now I do this thing here and then it updates the server. So I think that was the problem. But shouldn't it be two S's as well? Maybe now it will work. I think I'm gonna restart this and try again. Just send, and then I'll keep watching the videos. Eventually I'm gonna figure out. Just a matter of time. And trying a bunch of different stuff. But I think the annoying thing is gonna be, once I'm creating the graph, that's gonna be the challenge. Because then I think that's, and I remember the canvas being annoying, so we'll have to see if it's gonna be annoying with Svelte as well. To update the canvas live and to handle the state management. I think that part is gonna be annoying. Yeah, but now I'm not receiving anything here again. So what could be the problem? Like, it should be console logging the data. This data that I receive here on the browser there when I send. So I think the other thing that I can try is the stuff from the tutorials where I get from this store here. So I'll have to copy this thing here. Yeah, I need to study more how stores work.
Explaining to you the difference between a REST API and WebSockets. This is going to be a concept overview video. I'm not going to go into any low-level details of either option, but instead I'm going to give you a high-level summary of both of these two ideas. So let's just jump
I
right
think I'm gonna stop here and then I'm gonna watch these videos off stream and I'm gonna study more Svelte and I'm gonna continue to do this tomorrow. I just streamed more today for consistency, but yeah, there's not much I can do. Like, I have to study more because I never used Svelte. And I don't have experience with WebSockets as well. I think so far, all the stuff that I've done was with HTTP, like making calls through APIs, but I never used, maybe I used WebSocket, but not that much. Then I want to understand more how it works as well, the differences between, like, on the fundamental level, but this is going to take more time and it's going to be hard to find, I think. So I'm probably not going to focus too much on this. I think I'm going to focus more on trying to make it work as fast as I can. And then once I make it work, then I'm gonna go back because I don't want to lose track of the other stuff that I'm doing, which is the poker software. Because usually I have the tendency of doing that, where I start doing something and then it opens up a bunch of possibilities, and then I start thinking about everything that I can do. And then I lose track of what I was doing before and end up never going back and finishing. So I want to make sure that I finish this, like I go to the point where I have the graph, and that then I'm going to structure the information of the graph so I can understand recursion better. And then I'm going to think about the problem of the poker software, which is how to define the boundaries so that I can update the global variables outside of the recursion, so I can make the calculations to create all the possible lines in the poker game tree. And then once I have that thing, then I can continue to work on that to try to make it so I have simulations that use my own data to create an exploitative strategy against the data, so I can train on the simulations. And I think once I have that, then I can go back to working on this website, because I want to finish this as well. So, and I think I'm gonna probably put this on my blog if I finish, and then try to think about then I think about how I'm gonna make it so that the visualizations are very helpful, and then I can use this to study the libraries and all of the other stuff. So probably gonna come back tomorrow and continue to do this.